Meantime, tonight in New York City, the dramatic move, the National Guard being sent into the New York City subway to protect riders.
And because of all this violence in the subways, Governor Hochul has unveiled a new plan that she says will make the subways safer.
That's right. It involves adding more patrols, and she wants to ban anyone convicted of a crime against a passenger from using mass transit again.
All right, so it's gotten so crazy in New York that now they had to deploy National Guardsmen to the subways to stop the criminals. It's gotten so crazy. There was like something like a 42% increase in subway crimes in the month of January alone. 42%. Here are the stats real quick.
As we've reported, subway crime spiked 45% in January when the city ended its police overtime program in the subway. The renewed NYPD surge led to a drop in February, but subway crime still up 13% this year.
Now, what the news media is not going to tell you is the reason for this is, unfortunately, bail reform. Now, why is that important? Because if you assault someone in the subway and get caught, they're going to allow you out the same day. You literally go, I didn't do it, and they let you out, and you can do it again. Matter of fact, there have been people who have assaulted multiple people in the same day and have been let out on bail reform.
A man who has been arrested 41 times for assault has just sent a New York City subway worker to the hospital with a broken collarbone and a dislocated nose. Now, the suspect, Alexander Wright, again, has been arrested for assault 41 separate times, but apparently that's not enough to keep him out of the public to ensure that people are safe.
Now, I think a lot of this stems from a recent story about a musician in the subway who was attacked by a woman while he was playing the cello. Here's that quick video.
Another subway attack here in New York City. This time the victim is a cellist who performs on the platform while attending medical school. Now, after the violent attack, it is not clear that he will ever play in the subway again. He spoke with Amber Cagliano.
It's a truly disturbing act of violence. A musician in New York City viciously bashed in the head by a random stranger. The woman lurks behind him, moves in, then picks up the cellist's metal water bottle and whacks him.
In the middle of one of the songs that I was doing, I just felt this impact, this terrible crashing pain along the back of my head.
Now, that woman was caught, and listen to her criminal history. Check this out.
Meanwhile, the woman arrested for hitting a subway performer in the head with a metal bottle is behind bars for committing another crime, allegedly. Police say they picked up Amira Hunter yesterday for stealing a $235 baseball cap from Nordstrom's. Despite 8 prior arrests and 2 active bench warrants for failing to come to court and prosecutors asking for her to be held on bail, a judge let her go on supervised release when police arrested Hunter last week for the subway assault. Well, right now, Hunter is being held on $500 cash bail following her arraignment this afternoon after the arrest for that baseball cap.
So as you can see, what's driving crime in the city? It's the law enforcement powers to keep people behind bars who are threats to public safety. Like that woman who hit the guy in the back of the head, she's a threat to public safety. The guy who was arrested 41 times, had 41 assaults, he's a threat to public safety. But since bail is racist and they happen to be black, let them back out as many times as possible to harm other black people or whoever, or any other minorities, right? These people are harming other people of color if that's supposedly the reason why you want to allow for them to get out, right? So because you're hurting people who get arrested, but by letting them out and having carte blanche to do whatever they want, you're hurting those same people that you pretend to care about. Okay, so now let's see what the government's response to, instead of fixing bail reform, let's watch them throw away millions of dollars in police overtime. Let's check this out.
Swarming with New York State troopers and members of the National Guard. It's part of Governor Hochul's new push to battle crime on the subways. Eyewitness News reporter Stephon Kim has details, including why the extra law enforcement is making some riders nervous.
At Grand Central Terminal tonight, during the thick of the evening rush, there was rhythm and blues in the background, drowned out by the relentless sound of the Metro card swipe. But in the foreground, there were M16s, part of the governor's 5-part plan announced today aimed at combating subway crime. 750 National Guard soldiers, 250 state troopers and MTA police,
Just open your bag really quick.
and more random bag checks.
To those who are feeling anxious whenever they walk through those turnstiles, we will stop at nothing to keep you safe.
Some riders, though, not sure if it'll have the intended effect.
Wow. But I'm going to say, that's a lot of money they're spending on having police in all these stations. New York is like the largest subway system in the world. They're not going to be able to sustain this, people. So I don't know why they don't say, we should just change the bail reform laws, because it's obvious they don't work, and it's obvious this doesn't make any sense. But that may be a political poison pill for them. So let's just spend people's tax dollars willy-nilly, right? Because we can do it. And yes, crime has gone down, but as they saw, as soon as they pulled those officers out, right? As soon as they said, well, we can't continue to pay for this, crime exploded because you're not taking care of the underlying problem.
I didn't think it was at the point of National Guard needed.
More nervous because I feel like it's more of a threat happening versus just the police. So I don't think the National Guard would be a good idea.
Concerned, harkening back to like 9/11.
Feels like a huge overreaction and overreach.
Donna Lieberman is the executive director of the NYCLU.
Now, I'm going to say it's probably an overreaction and an overreach, but I think at the end of the day, they're doing this because people believe the subway is worse than what it really is. And, as politicians, you get voted in, you get voted out based on how people feel about the economy, about their safety, about the job you're doing. So that's what this is, right? You throw a whole bunch of officers in there, give a whole bunch of big guns, even though the crimes that we're talking about is pretty petty, right? You only need an M16. This guy's, he's assaulting people. Yes, he's assaulting people, but what's the M16 ain't going to help you with a petty assault, right? What are you going to do, gun the guy down? So so it is an overreaction, but it's an attempt to make people feel that the subways are safer. So
Calling out the National Guard in response to some incidents is not the way to go.
Stefan, they have this in Europe because of the terrorism threat in Europe, and no one seems to mind. You can get used to a lot of things.
Former NYPD chief of detectives and ABC News analyst Bob Boy says the larger issue is recidivism and mental health.
They need to be taken off and taken to a psychiatrist so they can get help. And there needs to be a plan after that to keep them into treatment.
The governor's plan calls for more resources for mental health outreach teams targeting the mentally ill. It also focuses on repeat offenders. Governor Hochul wants judges to be able to ban someone from the transit system for at least 3 years if they've been convicted of a violent crime.
We know who they are.
So let me get this straight. If you assault someone in the subway, police catch you, they take you to jail, judge says no jail, you go back out, and you can go back out because there's a story about the 40 guy who had 41 assaults. There was like 5 he did in one day. So you can do as many as you can in a day. But if you do one on the subway, they'll say, well, you can't go back onto the subway. But what's stopping that person from going back to the subway, right? All right, I'm banned from the subway for 3 years. Then you can go back on the subway, hit someone again, and guess what? They'll arrest you, you'll get back on jail, so you can't go for 3 years, and you go do it again. Like, that's the issue isn't the punishment, it's the enforcement of it. It's removing these people out of those situations to harm more people. Because don't get me wrong, if this was the person's first time for assault, okay, you got no problem, right? You just made this in a bad situation. 2 times, 3 times, we're talking about 41 times. So there's an obvious problem. And they don't want to fix the problem, which is bail reform. They want to try to get all these other patches. But someone who how do you enforce that? It's not like you're checking, for those of you who don't live in New York, they don't check. There's no ID check to go into the subway. You just go. So even if you are banned from the subway, it's not like they can stop you from using the subway. And even if you're caught, then it's not like they can lock you up, right? You're out on bail again. So it is what it is.
They'll flag the criminal history at the time of arrest so it can be fully considered when decisions regarding charging and bail are made.
Why are we arresting people 100 times? And once we make the arrest, why are they back out within a day or two sometimes?
Experts say the deployment of National Guard is not sustainable long
Hold on, let me let this finish out.
term, likely only a few months, just in time to make riders feel safe when congestion pricing goes into effect.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was saying. This guy said exactly what I was saying. It's not sustainable. That is not sustainable. It just is not. You're paying all these people all this particular money. And like the last cop said at the end, this is really about bail reform. That's what this is about. This is about people getting arrested 100 times and being let right back out. You stop that, you solve a lot of these issues. But again, like I always say, tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Tell me that, Nate, you're just against poor people. You're pro bail. No, I'm pro reasonable regulations to situations. And I think if you've assaulted someone 41 times and then 5 times in one day, then maybe we shouldn't give you bail. But I'm a right-wing lunatic. Let me know how you feel in the comment section. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next one. Peace.